Evening all again. Yeah, this is number 5, the 5th night that I've been doing these little videos. Hope you're enjoying them. And last night we was talking about our greatest games at QPR. Tonight I'm going to talk about the best atmospheres that we've ever witnessed or been involved in at QPR. Any match, home and away, or Wembley even, or whatever. And yeah, the best atmospheres I can remember. You know, first ones I can remember going back to the FA Cup semi-final at Highbury. What an atmosphere that was. The atmosphere in a quarter-final at Loftus Road, obviously against Palace as well. That was some atmosphere as well. Electric, you know, and that's from the home and the away. When you get the away fans joining in as well, and you get that like cross, you know, that singing at each other, it just adds to the atmosphere, doesn't it? It's crazy, and I don't remember being much of it. I don't know, because I was a kid, right, 14 years old. I don't remember much of an atmosphere at Wembley for the FA Cup final. Maybe my memory just don't serve me well. It was decent enough, but it wasn't like one of them ones that stands out to me. Whereas the one at we was in the North Bank at Highbury for the semi-final, that stands out to my memory more. And to be honest, in the early 80s, like, we didn't have the greatest away following. It was decent enough, you know, it was decent enough. So there weren't really that many away games that I can think of where we had a massive mental atmosphere. Can't think, you know, of the 80s games. You know, QPR fans, we always sang. There's always the hardcore of, say, 300, 400 away fans that went everywhere. And there was a hardcore that sang as well of 100 or so, you know. It was never like a mad atmosphere, you know, like really loud and all that. But then we went into like the late 80s. Yeah, late 80s we started to get more of an atmosphere, you know. Some of the away games like Spurs away and, you know, all that. Arsenal away in 1989 in the FA Cup, that was a good one. Arsenal at home. You know, all the London derbies used to get a good atmosphere. And I remember more recently those playoff semi-finals, the one against Wigan, that was crazy. That was rocking. I missed the playoff semi-final against Oldham. I think I was banned for that one still. Couldn't get to that one, but I heard that was probably one of the best. But the one against Wigan was pretty decent as well. And then there was that game against Cardiff. I think it's the year we went up when we got promoted. It was either that year or the year before. It might have been the year we got promoted when we were 1-0 down at home against Cardiff. And Tarat was on fire, and we went on to beat him 2-1. But that was absolutely electric, like the whole ground. When you get Loftus Road, all the sides singing together, well, there ain't no roof on it, but it literally takes, you know, such an atmosphere, man. It's brilliant. And yeah, some of them night. I think the night games, for some reason, over the years, those sort of night games have generated better atmospheres than the Saturday games. Yeah, under the floodlights, dark, everyone's in the spirit. Yeah, for those sort of like playoff semi-finals and cup replays and all that type of thing. Although we haven't had a great cup run for a while, but back in the day when we started getting cup runs together, there'd be good atmospheres at games and stuff. Of course, yeah, the atmosphere after we scored for the playoff final against Derby, after the goal, you know, it was mental, wasn't it, when we actually won? That was crazy. But beforehand, it was a bit subdued, to be honest, weren't it? It didn't seem great. And that included the Derby fans weren't exactly on fire either, were they? But yeah, man, some of them games are just like, yeah. I mean, I can't really think of too many more. Mind you, the Man City away one. Yeah, the Man City away one when they won the league in the Prem, when they won the Prem, and they beat us 3-2. The atmosphere there was good because we had a solid 2 tiers, and you know that weren't half. Was it? Yeah, it was half. Yeah, it's half of their away end pretty much. 2 tiers upper and lower. We was packed it right out. In fact, I was lucky to get a ticket that day. A lot of people couldn't get tickets for that, but that was a good atmosphere when we really got behind the team. We got behind the team for the most of the game. That was a good atmosphere. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people must remember, if you're old enough, back in the 60s, there were some good atmospheres, which some people mention in the book, Memoirs. So I'm going to, I'm going to start mentioning a few people. If I can remember anything, I'll chip in at the end again. But we'll go through the book and start reading out some of the people that contributed again for their best atmospheres. Let's have a look. Yeah, we've got Donald Pierce. His best atmosphere was at home. Was Leeds at home with Rodney Marsh dancing around all the Leeds superstars. That must have been when we played them in the 1960s, obviously. And he said that was a fantastic atmosphere. It's nice to hear different ones that I haven't been to, or the games that were the most obvious ones. Frank Kinner, the best atmosphere apart from Derby at Wembley, which I still don't. He was good, boss. He was a bit subdued as well. Was the infamous Terrygate game v Chelsea, which I didn't get to that game either. The Rangers crowd was on excellent form that day. There was no doubt that we got to the Chelsea players. They looked terrified and couldn't wait to get off the pitch. Yeah, that was we created a nice bit of intimidation there, didn't we? That was good when we intimidate Chelsea. I love that. Nicky Philbert, his best atmosphere has to be the Oldham in the playoff semi. At Loftus Road, and Loftus Road shook that night. And away from home, Sheffield Wednesday away in 2004. What a sight seeing 8,000 Rangers fans pack the away end. Yeah, that was obviously a good one. Sean Bird's best atmosphere was without doubt against Oldham, the playoff semi at HQ. Never experienced noise like that at football before or since. Absolutely brilliant. Alan Dyer, his best atmosphere was at QPR v Chelsea. That match meaning the 6-0 one. Gary Cobb, any home game against the scum, Chelsea obviously, or Cardiff. Yeah, the loudest away fans I've ever seen at Loftus Road was probably Man United or Newcastle fans. They never stopped singing and bouncing for the whole game. Shame there wasn't like it at their own ground. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've only been to Man U a couple of times. Yeah, they were like a library, man, to be honest with you. Yeah, true. Alan Wotton, best atmospheres tend to coincide with the best victories. Yeah, it's a no-brainer, I suppose. You'd pick the two great matches at Wembley, the League Cup final in '67 and the Championship playoff final in 2014. If you had to choose just one, it would be the '67 final. Yeah, I'd love to have been there. I'd love to, I was born in '67, so I was born after that. I'd love to have been around in the '60s, for those sort of games and that. Robin Jones. This might seem like an odd choice, especially as we lost 3-2, but the away game at Spurs in November 1983. There was a really noisy crowd of 39,000, including 7,000 to 8,000 Rangers. And the first time we played Spurs since the Cup final, and a great expectation as we started the season so well. There was wall-to-wall noise from all parts of the ground, very vicious banter, and a great game of football. And on the add on the hairy journey to and from the tube station. I wonder if he means Seven Sisters. That's a long old walk up there to and from, isn't it? And as a 15-year-old still at school, he was buzzing for days after that one. Frankie, there are a few contenders of the atmosphere. It's always good when we play Cardiff, Luton, Brentford and Chelsea when we were in the same division over the years. But one that stands out for him is at home to Oldham in the semi-final, second leg. What a great game. And when Furlong latched on to the long ball and scored the winner, he'd never heard a roar like it. He was in the Ellerslie Road that night, and promise you, I'm not exaggerating, I could feel the concrete vibrating beneath his feet. What a fantastic night at Loftus Road. Peter Lancaster, the night of the playoff semi at home to Wigan. Yeah, I just said that one. It was pretty special as it was the infamous Chelsea at home match, which was overshadowed by the JT John Terry incident afterwards. QPR fans created an incredibly hostile atmosphere that day, and it played a part and also seemed like a good payback for all those years when their fans used to take over our ground. Yeah, I'd say that started to diminish a little bit. You know, when they did take over in the 70s and early 80s. I reckon from around, I don't know, 86, 87 onwards, we started to take our stands back a bit more. The 6-0 against, when we beat them 6-0, I was in the Ellerslie. I didn't see that many Chelsea in there. There was a few, but I think there was more confined to the away end that day, which was nice to see actually, because everyone's getting the right arse with Chelsea taking a piss, and it's only through sheer numbers really they ever did that. But obviously, in more modern times, we've actually gone there really and taken the piss. And I don't care what any Chelsea fans say; they can doubt all they like, but we have done. And yeah, David Webber is most recently, because there have been so many, and trying to avoid the obvious ones, we were losing 2-0 with 13 minutes to go, sitting in the loft against Liverpool. And yes, that Jamie Mackie goal to win 3-2, to be followed by beating Arsenal in the next game. Always remember Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain clapping our fans at the end of the game because of our fantastic support that night. Fair play. Yeah, it's like the time we won 1-0 at the Bridge, right? And Red Harry was our manager. Sean White Phillips scored the winner. I wasn't there. I wasn't there that night either, guttedly. But yeah, Marino, was it Marino? Sure it was. He was praising our fans, saying that is how you should support a team. And in fact, he was sort of like having a go at his own fans. You know, they were too quiet, and QPR probably won the game because of the atmosphere we created. Probably helped. That was like, we were like the 12th man, and yeah, Marino weren't happy about that, was he? When we we literally totally outsang them and all that, and it was like a home game for us that day, that night. Even though I weren't there, I could just tell. Tony Nicholson's best atmosphere was the FA Cup semi against West Brom in 1982 at Highbury. Nicky Blackmarket, I think one of them was a semi-final playoff against Oldham when Furlong scored. The place went nuts. He was sitting in the back of the South Africa Road stand and he fell down a few seats in front of me. Hey, yeah, that can happen. You know, when you do start going crazy and you get all them cuts and grazes all over your shins and people do start tumbling down seats. Not like the old terraces. I know you used to get the surges and all that, which was quite funny. Obviously not if you've been involved in any horrible incidences of crush, like, you know, some of the fucking bad ones like Hillsborough was absolutely horrendous and that. But when people used to cause surges just for the hell of it, didn't they, down the old terracing and that line. John Simo, the playoff semi-final second leg with Wigan at home in 2014. Yes, I agree. The atmosphere was mental. With the rain hacking it down, you just can't beat Loftus Road under the lights. I totally agree with that. I love them nights because the atmosphere just seems better when it's dark and that. Darren Ellicott, QPR Derby playoff 2014. He did the Wembley walk with 5,000 Rangers. It was an amazing experience, and to see 40,000 Rangers fans singing at the final whistle will stay with him forever. Ricky D, there have been some unreal atmospheres down the years, but the two that really stand out for him, firstly up at Hillsborough when we had to beat Sheffield Wednesday to get promoted and we managed it 3-1 when there was 7,000 travelling hours rammed into the Leppings Lane end. What a day that was. And the other was the Oldham at home in the playoff semi-final when Paul Fylon scored in the 82nd minute to send us to Wembley. You could literally feel the stand bouncing up and down, and we celebrated for about 3 days after. A few people have said that, and they felt the ground literally rocking. Mark Douglas, yeah, I think he's the only one that's mentioned this one, and that was Watford away when we won promotion to the Premier. He lost his voice, yeah, when we beat him there, and yeah, that's a good one. Chris O, there's been a few great atmospheres over the years, but for him, most recently, it had to be the Wigan at home in the playoff semi, and then the playoff final against Derby. Reece Lavelle's best atmosphere for him was the euphoria of the FA Cup semi in '82 at Highbury, standing in North Bank with his old man right at the front to the side of the goal. And he could still picture that Clive Allen goal. It still gives him goosebumps thinking about it to this day. those last 20 minutes of that game felt like an eternity. Yeah, you're not wrong. It did seem like an eternity. It felt like hours. And the final whistle went, it was like, wow, I'm going to watch my team at Wembley for the first time. It didn't matter who we were going to play. It was a case of he was going. Yeah, that was a great feeling. It was thinking we got to Wembley. Um, really exciting as a kid, isn't it? Well, it was exciting anyway, isn't it? As any age, just to get to Wembley. Although now the FA Cup's lost its thing, I think they should never have made the semi-finals at Wembley. It just kills the whole thing. You know, we used to say, "Que sera, wherever we'll be, we'll be. We're going to Wembley." Remember, it was all about going to Wembley. So if you can go to the semi-final, it just takes away the whole thing. Personally, that's my view anyway. And as we all know, that the FA Cup's dead now. Anyway, no, the clubs just don't give it any more credit. But still great to get a cup run. Everyone loves a cup run, don't they? We've got to have a cup run. Tony Harvey. There have been quite a few good atmospheres over the years, and mostly night games, as there is always a buzz at an evening game. The one game that really sticks out though was away at Luton on a Saturday afternoon when 3 p.m. kickoffs were fashionable. It was bashed and that, and then there was that bit retribution. Of the playoff semi-final against Oldham in May 2003. Yeah, yeah, of course. Saw Loftus Road rocking by that. You mean literally rocking. Such was the volume, and Paul Furlong scored to win the game for us. And again, at the full-time whistle, that all three home stands were shaking. The upper loft, where I was jumping up and down, was visibly swaying. Wow. And many of us feared it was in danger of collapsing. An incredible atmosphere made all the more voluminous by the tight, compact stadium. Love his wording. Dave's got some good words. Jane Furbo, best atmosphere was getting promoted with Warnock. The atmosphere was electric. Even the coppers were smiling. The streets were full of QPR fans. Car horns were going mental. Everyone was so happy. That's the Leeds game. Even though we lost, I think we lost. Even though we lost that last home game, it didn't matter because we was already up, and that was all that mattered. And the celebrations were amazing. And Robert Elms, best atmosphere was a playoff semi at Loftus Road. I love night games, and that was the best. Yeah, I mean those are the big games, right? Those are the big obvious ones. But they're more recently, I think we've got behind the team better at away. Some away games we've created some really good. Once we get the old buzz going, I think we can create some really good atmospheres away and that. And we've definitely got a bigger away support over the years. Nice to see. Like to see more youth turning up, more youngsters. Although there is a good few now. But obviously we've got to compete with the likes of bloody Chelsea and Fulham, and even, I don't know about Brentford. Now they've got their new stadium, although they haven't even let it go yet. I don't think, you know. And I can't see them ever getting bigger crowds than us. Really, I can't see it. But you know, as they keep bottling out and going up, which is funny. They'll probably bottle out again this year. So I don't think they'll ever you know, get bigger crowds than us. But it'd be such a shambles. It'd be scandalous if they did. That'd be really bad if Brentford start getting bigger grounds than us. But yeah, I don't think it'll happen. And keep the faith, Rangers. We'll be all right. I think next season we're going to be pushing for the old playoffs, and who knows after that. But yeah, onwards and upwards. Have a good evening, all, and I shall catch you very, very soon. Hopefully tomorrow. If I'm not too knackered from work, I'll do another one. And keep subscribing. Keep leaving some comments if you want to. And yeah, all the best. Yours.